104.5 The Team, your home for New York Yankees baseball. Joining us right now from the Wall Street Journal, Jared Diamond. Jared, Gary Sanchez, not big on the hustling last night.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad situation. It looked terrible to see him not running that play out to first base at the end of the game, especially after what had happened on the past ball. And it's been a bit of a pattern with Sanchez, and this situation yesterday only sort of fueled the fire for people who already have a bad sort of perception of Gary Sanchez as a player.
Jared, what's more convenient timing, the Heart and Hustle Award of the week for the Yankees going to Austin Romine, or Gary Sanchez allegedly injuring his groin?
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. That when I got that Austin Romine email this morning, you couldn't help but laugh. That's just bad timing for Gary Sanchez, I would say. Like, I want to believe that he's still injured because at least that's an explanation. If he's not injured and he just blatantly was not running last night in a way that looks so much worse, at least if he's hurt, you have an excuse. You go back in on the DL and try to get better. It's been an awful season for Gary Sanchez, really in every way. And I think if you're a Yankee fan, part of you just says, I hope that this has all been caused by injury, both the lack of hustle and the poor performance.
What's the recourse for the Yankees in a situation like this? Coach him up, trade him? Like, what is it?
Well, he's certainly not going to trade him. He has so much talent. He is a great player. And I know this year has gone very poorly for him, but the end of 2016 was great. He was very, very good last year. If he's not hurt, if he's hurt, he goes back on the DL. That's first and foremost. If he's injured, he goes back on the DL, and hopefully you get him right. If he's not hurt, he doesn't need to go on the DL. Yeah, he probably should be benched for a game or so. It's clearly something that Aaron Boone is going to have to address. Joe Girardi called him out a little bit last year, which is very rare for Girardi. He was not the type to publicly call out a player, and he felt that he needed to do it with Gary Sanchez. So that, I think, says something. It says a lot. And Aaron Boone is going to face a little bit of a test here, how he handles sort of a clubhouse issue that is sort of spilling out into the public. And this is a challenge for a new manager like Aaron Boone. I think we'll learn a lot about him based on how he proceeds with this situation now.
Yeah, that last part in particular, Boone versus Girardi. Some would say maybe Girardi was too tough on players and they wanted more of a player's manager in Aaron Boone. But as you just said, this is a test. Is he going to be able to pull this right? Is it going to be a too hot, too cold? I don't know if there's going to be a perfect answer for Aaron Boone that the New York media and the fan base might be able to embrace.
Well, there never is. There never is a perfect answer. You're always sort of just going with what you think is right, and you can't worry too much about what the media says or what the fans say, because there's no chance you can make everybody happy. No matter what Aaron Boone does, there's going to be people that are upset. There's fans that really dislike the criticism of Sanchez. There's fans that think he should be sent down to the minor leagues, and there's nothing that you could do that could, sort of appease both. So Aaron Boone's going to have to go with his gut, and I'm curious to see sort of what happens this afternoon, because by now we certainly had a chance to look at the video of the plays and sort of digest and internalize them. So I expect his pregame press conference this afternoon to be pretty interesting.
Jared Diamond of the Wall Street Journal with us right now, baseball reporter on 104.5 The Team. When I look at this Yankees team, I mean, any other year, and I'm probably thinking to myself, stand pat, don't do anything, but with the Sox being as good as they are there any potential trades that you're keeping an eye on?
Well, there's going to be plenty of moves. I think the Yankees are going to be aggressive, clearly. They're in on Zach Britton. They're very much in the market for a starting pitcher. I think the Yankees essentially have no choice but to trade for a starting pitcher. To me, they desperately need one. And if they have any intention of forget catching Boston, they just make the wild card and want to go and try to compete for a championship, they need another starting pitcher. So I think they're going to have to work hard to find one, whether that guy is Jay Happ or Michael Fulmer or whomever else is out there. Cole Hamels is another name. But look, Boston's a great team and is going to continue to get better. The Red Sox are looking for another starting pitcher as well. And you start looking at the standings. We're now cruising into August soon, and the Red Sox are starting to sort of separate themselves a little bit from the Yankees. Doesn't mean that the Yankees can't still come back and win the division. They certainly can. But if you're a Yankee fan, you'd like to see them sort of take it up now, because the Red Sox at this moment look unstoppable.
Jared Diamond with us. Jared, and any chance Chris Archer or Jacob deGrom are walking through that door?
I think it's unlikely, especially in the case of deGrom. My gut is that the Mets won't end up trading deGrom. Whether or not they should trade deGrom is a conversation that I think is interesting and one worth having. But my instincts and my reporting say I don't think they will. And even if they do, I'd be surprised if it's to the Yankees. I just don't see the Mets and Yankees getting together on a trade that big. It's just too fraught with complications for sort of these other reasons that I don't see the Yankees and Mets making a move for deGrom. Now, Chris Archer, yeah, maybe. I don't know how Tampa Bay would feel about giving up Archer inside its division. And more than that, I just don't know what the return will be for Chris Archer at this point. He's really struggled for now a couple of years. So I don't know if he's really the Yankees' first choice at this point.
I've been trying to figure out this question all week long, going back to almost Friday when some media outlets called it a bomb that went off when Yoenis Cespedes said he might be out for an entire season with the heel injury, and there was this disconnect between him and the manager, Mickey Callaway. You covered the New York Mets. Why is there such a disconnect between Cespedes and Callaway? Is his Cespedes just doing his own thing? What happened with this situation?
The only way to explain it is that it's the Mets, and these things happen to the Mets. This is a situation that I truly believe would not happen with any other organization, and it speaks to what we all know, that the Mets are not very well run. They have big organizational problems. They stem from ownership. Fred and Jeff Wilpon being the constants of this organization now for years. It doesn't matter who the manager's been. It hasn't mattered who the general manager's been. These sort of problems have persisted for a very long time. And it all starts with ownership. And unfortunately, if you're a Mets fan, those are the two people that you can't get rid of, that you can't fire. They're not going to sell the team anytime soon. So I don't see anything like this changing. But the communication organizationally from ownership to the front office to the dugout has been bad for a long time, and clearly it has not improved.
Jerry, we're getting people's takes about the shift in baseball. There was talk earlier in the month about whether or not baseball may actually end the shift for teams. What's your take on the shift and how it's used in baseball right now?
It's had a big impact, for sure. It's greatly affected batting averages, especially among left-handed batters. There's certainly people in baseball that would love to see it outlawed or litigated in some way. Rob Manfred, the commissioner, he's made some comments that make me believe that he might be open to some rule changes with the shift. I think baseball had sort of hoped that eventually batters would adjust and change their behavior, and that would be the answer to the shift. The game has a way of working its stuff out. This is what baseball's done for a century. But the shift now has been around for about a decade. It's not that new anymore. The Rays especially have been doing it for close to 10 years, and we have not seen any sort of widespread adjustment in how batters approach it. So whether that leads to rule changes, I don't know. I personally wouldn't be in favor of rule changes, but as batting averages league-wide continue to go down and the shift continues to be blamed for it, there's going to be more discussion about it for sure.
I want to make sure some people here in the Capital Region get a chance to read your piece at Jared Diamond on Twitter. You wrote one for the Wall Street Journal talking about the lost art of the switch hitter. What did you learn in your piece working on this?
Well, switch hitting is dead, or close to dead. It's declining rapidly. It's been declining for decades. It's really interesting. 25 years ago or so, switch hitters made up about 20% of plate appearances in baseball. It's now down to 13 and continuing to shrink. Will probably continue to shrink for the foreseeable future. The days of Chipper Jones, who's going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, seem to be done as teams no longer value switch hitting. They don't encourage it as much. It's no longer viewed as the asset that it once was. And to me, that's a shame because switch hitting is one of those quirky baseball things that might not make any actual sense, but it's fun and just fun to sort of see people do. So I don't think it's ever going to go away entirely, 100%, but the days of the big sluggers, the Chipper Jones, the Mark Teixeiras, the Carlos Beltrans, that hit both ways, I'm not saying they're gone forever, but I think they're going to be few and far between.
Jared, is there like I've been saying this for a while now, and I'm not getting traction with people, but is there going to be a team at some point that is just big on hit and run and stealing bases and choking up on the bat, hitting for contact, and it's just going to blow everybody's mind? Is it going to be like the new Moneyball that go back to small ball?
Well, the Royals did, right? In a way, the Royals didn't hit a lot of home runs. They put the ball in play a lot. They got to 2 World Series. Now, I would argue that their pitching was more of the reason why. But, yes, clearly there's going to be a time where it swings so far one direction that all of a sudden a contact-based approach at the plate becomes more valuable. I think the Giants in some of their championship runs as well have shown that a little bit. I don't think it's ever going all the way back. I think we know too much about the value of the sacrifice bunt and the value of the hit and run, how these things really aren't smart plays most of the time. But, yes, I think like everything you push so far one way that you realize you've now gone too far and things start to sort of move back a little bit. And I do think that'll happen eventually.
Jared Diamond, Wall Street Journal, talking baseball, man. We appreciate you.
Anytime. Thanks.